Hi, my name's Emma and let's talk spooky stuff. Welcome back. It's been a while since I've done an unpopular opinions video. If you do want to check out my first two, I'll leave them in the description down below. I go pretty hard in them and actually I stand by everything I said. But today I'm also going to read out your unpopular opinions. I asked you on Instagram and you went hard, like so hard, and I was not expecting it. Lots of anger. I've kept the more interesting ones that I actually think are unpopular, but a lot of you hate certain movies, hate Hereditary, hate The Witch, hate The Shining, but I've kept them to some really good ones and you guys made me laugh so much, so I can't wait to get to them. But let's start with my unpopular opinions. I know everyone hates when I do disclaimers, but once again, this video is titled Unpopular Opinions, which means that these aren't meant to be popular. You are kind of meant to disagree with them. So keep that in mind and drop yours below. Don't let me just have all the fun. Put yourself in the firing line in the comments section. I would love to read your unpopular opinions. Okay, I've been putting off for long enough. Let's get into it. I'm gonna start with the one that I think is gonna get me the most hate. I'm just gonna get into it. I did a video recently on Halloween 3 and everyone tore me apart in the comments because I even forgot to mention that Michael Myers is not in the film. I already knew going into watching it for the first time that Michael Myers wasn't in it. I knew it was a standalone film, much like The Exorcist 3. So that was not a shock or a surprise for me. But what was a surprise is that a lot of you claim in the comments that you think this film would have done really well as a standalone film if it wasn't involved or didn't have the name of Halloween, if it wasn't in the franchise. And I disagree. The film is not great. I'm just gonna say it. I know that a lot of people have nostalgia attachment to it, and I did say in that review there are really cool aspects, the mask, and I even rated it a little bit low on originality, and someone said, it's so original. I mean, think about the Stonehenge. It just falls flat in between. There's a lot of weird sexual tension, and it's just a weird ass movie, and sometimes that's great, and I do think it's great to reflect. I'm glad the movie exists. I think it's fun, but I don't think it would have done very well at all if it wasn't attached to the Halloween franchise, nor would it have been directed by who it was or starred who it was, possibly, if it was not in the Halloween franchise. So I don't think it would have been well received. I don't think it would have been a good standalone film, but I guess we'll never know the reactions we could have had if it wasn't attached to the name Halloween. This leads into my next one, kind of. I don't rage at films anymore the way I used to. Not that I used to go off, but I never get angry at films anymore. I used to do a lot of rants, and although some films disappoint me,
I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
It's true though, I'm not mad at any films at the moment anyway. I think this is because of obviously the current time that we're going through in the world, and so many horror movies have been put off and delayed. I don't think we'll ever get to see Antlers. Thank God we saw Saint Maud. So I think that there's very low expectations at the moment, which is really sad, but I'm really happy to get anything at this current time, that I'm not mad if I get to see a horror movie anymore. I'm just excited that it exists and that it's new and that it's fresh and that I have the access to watch it, because if this had happened to us at any other time, we couldn't go down to the Blockbuster and get the VHS, you know what I mean? So I'm just really grateful. So maybe my expectations have been lowered a little bit, or I'm just not as heated as I used to be, because although there's no lack of choice, there's so much choice everywhere, especially on streaming services, non-stop TV shows. I have endless watch lists. I'm just excited when a new, bigger horror movie comes out, because I'm just excited it exists. I'm excited to have it in my presence. My next unpopular opinion, or an opinion I just don't see people talk about openly, is about body horror. I think body horror is really misunderstood. I think a lot of people assume that it's just there to gross people out, to be the most extreme horror, and it's also quite associated with torture, because I mean, when you think about Hostel and that kind of stuff, or even the Human Centipede, that's kind of body horror too. But I think a lot of body horror has a deeper meaning, and you can see this, for example, in films like Raw or Swallow or Teeth. there's always a deeper anxiety about someone's body, and I feel like this gets like wrapped up and kind of shown as, oh, this film is so extreme because of this gore, when really it has a deeper meaning. When you think about films like Inside and her protecting her baby, I just think people get gore in body horror a little bit wrong. It's not always about the actual gore itself. It's more about the psychological damage and how it pairs up. And this is going to be probably the worst argument I ever make, but stay with me. Tusk. Tusk is one of my favorite horror movies. I know I have several hundred, but one of my favorite horror movies. I wish I was wearing my shirt. I'm a huge fan of Tusk. And although it's kind of like this weird satire comedy horror, the body horror element in it I take very seriously, because for me, it's not about Wallace, who is just this smart ass guy who gets stuck in this walrus. It is about being confined into a body you have no choice but to live in. And even that, just thinking about that gives me chills. I think it's just so much more layered than people give it credit for. And for that, I've really seen body horror in a new way recently. I just think that body horror, people are just getting wrong. It's not about the grossness. I feel like it's associated that, like the slashers are associated to jump scares. Body horror isn't always about disgusting imagery. Sometimes it's psychological as well. Just a fun and easy one after that deeper topic. Children of the Corn. Why does no one ever talk about Children of the freaking Corn? I think Children of the Corn is one of the best. It's so stupid. I know it's stupid. It's one of the best underrated franchises. I think that it is so creepy and so iconic. When you think about these children, Malachi and Isaac, which is actually Isaac if you want to say it correctly. That's how we say it in Australia. I just think that they're such iconic, creepy children and just creepy in general characters. And I don't think that they get picked a lot for villains or like best villains, but I really think everything about Children of the Corn is so exciting and thrilling, and I don't know, I feel bad for it sometimes. It doesn't get enough love. But thinking about horror in general and what's popular, my next unpopular opinion is how we take in horror. So I used to be all about the jump scares and just like being really scared in general, but I don't think horror always has to be terrifying. I think I'm more focused, or I'm more drawn to a overwhelming dread atmosphere, the grittiness and the uncomfortable feeling. I prefer that so much more than actually being scared in horror movies. And I think that films that can master that are masterpieces, which is why Ari Aster has done so well in the last couple of years, because he's really kept that feeling of dread throughout his films. I know some people hate them. It's also a callback to films like The Shining, although there are some really sinister moments in that film. I feel like the overwhelming dread, it just speaks volumes in comparison to something that is just a slasher or, just a lot of jump scares. So my unpopular opinion here is that I think that overwhelming atmosphere and dread is so much more compelling in horror movies than actually scary aspects or scary moments or scary setups for scenes. A good way of looking at this is with Final Destination. People are so scared of, obviously, when, it's their turn and they're waiting for something to come get them. They have some really cool and creative kills, but what is actually scary in the film isn't always those scenes. Those scenes are cool. The scary part is the overwhelming fear of dread and death itself coming after you. It's like it follows. It's menacing and it's following you slowly. And I think that that is so much more scary. The fact that someone could be there, something is trying to kill you and you don't know when and where. The anticipation of it all and that tension is so much more effective than quick kills or a crazy death or anything gory. I just love that. I don't know if anyone agrees with me. We haven't really spoken about this. What do you think? And my last unpopular opinion is for Twin Peaks fans. I've noticed a lot of people love Fire Walk with Me and they love the first season. They think the second season goes completely off the rails, and then obviously the third season's completely split, so let's not even touch that. But my favorite aspect of Twin Peaks, hands down, is not just the arm. I love the arm. Let's put the arm to the side. It is season 2. I think season 2 of Twin Peaks is peak Twin Peaks. I think season 2 is the best season. I love it so much, even though It's a little bit wild. That's what I like about it, because you've had enough time to understand the characters. You're really comfortable living in Twin Peaks and you just understand the vibe, and it's just so much better when you're in it with them instead of trying to figure out who the hell these random people are the first time you watch it anyway. But for that reason, I love season 2 so much more. It's less about introducing the characters and it's more about, you know, the guts of the story. So I don't know if that's unpopular. That's how I feel. I love all Twin Peaks, but I love the second season so much. And I love the arm. I know third season, but I love the arm. Okay, those are my unpopular opinions, but I really wanted to include your unpopular opinions. And when I asked you on Instagram, you went wild. So much so that I've tried to keep it into constructive ones. We had a lot of, this movie sucks, I hate this movie, and I think that is totally an unpopular opinion, but I thought it'd be more constructive to have ones that don't just pick apart one film. I have done it a little bit, but let's see how many we can get through because I got hundreds. This first one is from A Case of You, Mel, and she says, Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson are generic and bland. If you watched my first unpopular opinions, I do talk about Patrick Wilson and that. I mean, I feel like Patrick Wilson, for me, will always be Raoul from Phantom of the Opera. I'm just like that. I can't help it. But yeah, I haven't seen Vera in a role that really blew me away just yet. But I'm not counting her out. The next one is from Megan Brown, and she says, The Happening would have been liked a lot more if it came out before The Sixth Sense. Okay. I do know that Megan is a fangirl of The Happening. She likes the movie. She likes the trees. I don't know how she feels about the hot dogs.
You like hot dogs, don't you?
I can't get over that part. I don't know about this one because it is so different to any other M. Night film. I just don't think it would work no matter where you put it, but I respect your opinion completely. Next, Daddy Disco, and I actually got a couple of comments about this, who said that the Evil Dead remake is so much better than the Evil Dead trilogy, but I want to say, I love the remake, but I also love the original, and what I love so much about the remake is that it's taken the idea and it's very inspired by it, but it's so different. I would say I probably like them maybe even the same amount. I'm really impressed with the remake, but the Evil Dead walked so Evil Dead could run. And you can only have one without the other, you know what I mean? Sailor Taylor says that the 80s was the worst decade for horror films. I told you, you guys went all out. I don't agree. I respect your opinion once again. I think when I did my best of the 80s horror movie, like I went through the decade and I chose films from each year, I realized how many films I really do love from the 80s. But same with the 70s. I did that with the 70s. I don't know. It's just such a different love, I feel like. And I feel like a lot of classics were made then, and the genre had such a swift change and change that impacted it for years to come that a lot of people just love it for that. But I also think that horror has changed so much just in the last 5 years. So I don't agree because I don't think it's the worst. Like maybe I love some of the films from the 20s, but maybe some films from, you know, like the maybe the 30s. I don't know, the 40s? I'm trying to think like in between like the Universal boom and I don't know. I don't know what the worst decade is, but I don't think it's the 80s. Ugh. Jared said that so many older horror films are unwatchable. I tend to disagree with this one, which I guess is a point for you because that means it is unpopular. I think that although some may not be as captivating as now, there are a lot of gems in there, and it's really spooky when something that doesn't have any effects or, you know, just relies on its story, can scare you. I think that can be one of the most effective horror movies. And I think that old horror movies definitely have that working for them, that it's just all about one idea and sometimes being the first one to create that idea. So I think that it can be chilling. This is the one I wanted to put up of just one movie, although I did do The Evil Dead, but this made me laugh. This is Happy Kaylee, and they say the film The Shining sucked. I watched it right after reading the book, and I was so disappointed. I don't think you're the only one. I've seen so many people say that they hate The Shining. So many people say that they hate The Exorcist as well. And I think that The Shining is quite different. Although The Exorcist is based on a book, it's quite similar in a way, a little bit different. But The Shining is completely different. And I don't even see The Shining the book and The Shining the miniseries and The Shining the movie as the same things. They're three different things to me. I could only imagine if you had read the book and been so excited to go see the movie and found out Kubrick was doing it, and then it was just completely different. I just see them as completely different works. I might have said before that Halloween 3 wouldn't stand on its own feet if it wasn't in the franchise, but The Shining, if it changed its name, would still be a hit because it's Kubrick. This next one, again, singling out some films. It's The Saw Movies Are Terrible by Mrs. Rachel. Rachel. What? Actually, I do agree with the end part of the franchise. I think that the end part just makes no sense. Was it there was like the last Saw, the final chapter, I don't remember what it was called, and then there was more chapters coming, and there's a new one coming. Although, like, there's the new one that is a spin-off of, yeah, you know what I mean. What is it called? Spiral? I think. Yeah, so hopefully that's coming soon. I haven't heard about that one in a while. But I think that at least the first two Saws are genius, especially the first one. You cannot deny, but I don't think the rest are that great. I think, yeah, maybe up to like 3, but I'll probably just give it that, you know. This one I felt like was so interesting. This is The Ring 2002. I'm just gonna reword this. Horrors about witches feel downright insulting to real women's pain. But I tend to disagree. Isn't that the whole point? Isn't witches the whole point? We used to be called witches when we did anything that wasn't like, so we're like taking that back. I thought that's what we agreed. That's what I heard about in like the Coven the other week, but I could have got it all wrong. Tell me, someone, send me a smoke signal, send me a bat and give me the updated version, because I thought that's what we agreed on. It was meant to highlight women's pain, be a metaphor for that, but I don't know, I could have got it wrong. And the last one I have, this made me laugh so much. This is from Love and Rockets. Most of the disturbing films are just I love this. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, you're saying disturbing films. I think you mean horror films? I don't know. Disturbing films in general could be graphic. I don't think they're like, I think that's quite different. If you went onto a website and you compared that with, you know, like The Lighthouse, one has a little bit, but not a lot, you know? I think about the guinea pig films when I think about like super disturbing films, and I think sex scenes happened in maybe like 2 of them. And I mean, Human Centipede doesn't really have any, does it? No? So yeah, I don't know, maybe the really, really disturbing ones like Salo, a Serbian film, but I don't think all. I think that's a generalization for sure. So that's all we have time for today. As I said, I got hundreds of these and they were so good. You guys really went brutal this time. So thank you so much for keeping me entertained, and I hope this kept you entertained. If you like videos like this, like something a little bit different, give it a thumbs up. I'm sure I'll get plenty of thumbs down from the people who don't agree with my opinion. But who cares? I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll be back in a couple of days with a wrap up of everything I watched this month, ready to give you a lot of recommendations. So get ready, and I'll see you then. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye guys.